Yeah, and I suppose like that kind of brings me on to the next topic of conversation, really, which is obviously centered around GAA Go, and obviously the controversy that surrounds it. Obviously, since it was brought in a couple of years ago, or brought in really last year as a main sort of replacement, obviously for the games being on Sky. And I agree with you. I think it's great that Carlo Kilkenny is on. We can watch it, and I think it's good that it's on GAA Go. I think it's a game that maybe would be good for GAA Go. I think Dublin Antrim will be a good game for GAA Go. But I think the big argument really is that the likes of Cork and Limerick, the likes of Waterford versus Cork, the likes of Cork versus Clare, as an example, like these games haven't been on free-to-air television. They've been on GAA Go. And as we know, look, GAA Go is obviously behind the paywall. You have to get a subscription, which I think is around about €80, depending on if you get the early bird package or whatever, it might be cheaper. But generally, it's in and around that for most people. And then obviously you factor in as well that obviously in a lot of parts of the country, certain people can't get access to GAA Go. Like it's not accessible in certain parts of the country because of internet connection and everything else. And obviously the elderly don't always know how to work it and everything else. It's not exactly clear maybe for them. And I feel like in general, like when it comes to like your best products or the best things that you have available, you want to get them seen by the most amount of people as possible. And I think in the GAA, we probably do have too many, if we were to look at them as products, trophies, tournaments, competitions that are maybe not the best viewing for a casual fan. Let's say the Leinster Football Championship springs to mind as an example. Certain provincial championships, I think, are very one-sided. The Munster Hurling Championship is as good as it gets, really, in Gaelic games. Like, it goes down to the wire. There's so much on the line. Every game means everything, really. And you're very rarely ever going to get a one-sided game there. Obviously, Limerick Tipperary we did, but generally speaking, you very, very rarely will get that going into games. So, like, the fact that the best games are not getting shown on RTE, I do think is very disappointing, because for casual fans who, and let's not forget, like not every fan who watches hurling or football are going to be diehard fans. And I know this from people who tune into this channel sometimes, because they might be casual fans and they'll tune in for the odd game. Not everyone is diehard fans, so not everyone is going to pay for GAA Go just so they can watch every game. So I think you're missing out on casual fans as well, like getting to see a Waterford versus Tipperary and then being like, you know what, that was a great game, I'm going to come back for the next one. So yeah, where do you stand? Like, obviously a lot of talk on this on social media and everything else.
There has been, and a lot of people have actually defended RTE, and a few people have gone on about it and things like that. And what I will say, first of all, to defend RTE and GAA GO, particularly GAA GO, we actually watched the coverage. I think the analysis and the ideas there are actually one of the best that I've seen out of Sky, TV3 and RTE. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think the analysts are really good. I think the reporters are good. Granny McIlwain's an excellent presenter. Dave McIntyre is very good at commentating as well. I do think GAA GO is a very good way to go, and the way they actually analyse games as well. I was at the Kerry game, which GAA GO coincidentally were covering, and what the analysts actually did was they went all over the field to pick up angles in the game. I think Paddy Andrews, Breed Stack and Mark O'Shea were on then, and they were just looking all over the pitch saying, okay, this guy's on this, and things like that. And it was actually brilliant for the game, more or less. As for RTE, there is a contract there, to be fair to them. They only are obliged to show 31 games or in around that across the calendar of Gaelic games, and that is in the contract for Gaelic games, and as well in the contract that provincial finals have to be on RTE. That's why the Leinster final and things like that. I know it's not the best for everybody, and it won't be the best for either of us too, because we know the results before going in. But that's the problem with the Leinster Council. They need to fix a problem with the Leinster Championship there. And as well as that, you have to think about other interests as well. There are other interests happening across the planet and things like on RT in particular. You have comedy shows. This weekend in particular, you have the Eurovision Song Contest, which Ireland are in the final, by the way. Shameless plug, best plug to Bobby Tug in that. But for GAA fans, I do get, and this is the arguments and things like that, I do get the arguments about online. People don't have online. I know elderly myself, I'm down in Cork, that do not have a Wi-Fi box, and they love Gaelic games. and they can't watch Cork and Limerick on Saturday evening unless they get a ticket to Páirc Uí Chaoimh, which, to be fair, is going to be impossible in its own right because the stadium's going to be full. So you need to have like clubs showing games on GAA GO. You need pubs to show GAA GO and things like that. I think there was one of my local pubs that actually showed a game on GAA GO, Cork against Clare, in the last few weeks. So maybe they have access to GAA GO. And what GAA GO actually did well was they gave free access to hospitals to put games on the TV there, which was great. I think it was great, to get the people that were obviously poorly in hospitals to watch these games for free. And I think that was brilliant in its own right. But the main point in this, if you're living in the hills of Mayo, if you're living in the Burren in County Clare, you are not going to get GAA GO and free-flowing Wi-Fi. That's the problem with it. And another thing as well, the cast button doesn't seem to work on the app either, which is annoying for some fans. I know it's annoying for me because I have to watch it constantly on the tablet or the laptop or possibly on the phone. I can't cast it on the TV, which is kind of a concern, but it's not a major concern, if you know what I mean. But from an RT standpoint, I think the way they advertise Gaelic games, I think, is way under par. And when you look over the last few weeks in particular, this is a prime example of this. The Saturday game is only coming back this season in 2024, this Saturday. Why couldn't they bring that in April sometime, when there was loads of games on and you could discuss other aspects of the week and things like that, news of the week segments and stuff like that, Sunday show, rather than cramming all of Saturday and Sunday's action in April? Why are you doing that? Like, it's just making the work harder for yourself. It's as simple as that. And another thing as well, I know I put out a tweet on this in regards to the football games on televised and things like that. Next weekend, across the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship and the Tailteann Cup, there are 12 games. 3 of them are shown on GAA GO, none on RTE. That's 25% of games are. To me, that is really, really poor in growing the game. And I look it towards another sporting organisation in this country, the League of Ireland. They have a platform called LOI TV. You can watch First Division games or Premier Division games all on that subscription service. I think it's relatively cheap as well. I think it's under €100 for the whole season to watch every single game that isn't on RTE or Virgin Media, which is a brilliant deal. And I think the GAA need to think of that as well. And you look at rugby, for example, the URC. You can't get away from it. There's Munster Connacht. There's games between Leinster and the Stormers. There was the Leinster game last weekend in Croke Park in the Champions Cup. You have Champions League games on in soccer. You could watch that anywhere on Sky Sports and things like that. Whereas with our own national sport and Gaelic games, for example, and you provide a brilliant example in Leinster Championship, you cannot watch Dublin Antrim on TV or GAA GO. And to me, that is a disgrace, considering the implications behind the games for Dublin and Antrim, both of them. I do think the way forward in this, if you're going to use GAA GO, which is a brilliant service, by the way, but it can be improved, I think show every single game. Show every game in the All-Ireland Championship, in the All-Ireland Hurling Championship, in the Tailteann Cup, in the Joe McDonagh as well. And I do think Clubber are doing very well on that. And what I would suggest as well for Clubber, try and show Christy Ring, Laurie Maher, Nicky Racker Cups, and as well as that, grow the game. Because Peter Fortune was on earlier, the Loud captain, and I posted that on my Instagram, and he was all over Twitter and providing a brilliant thread earlier today. And you might remember in Alliance League Sunday earlier on the year, he was on with Joe Fortune talking about the future of hurling. And it seems like ever since that show, RT or GAA GO haven't done anything to promote hurling in general. When you look at it, and this is a prime example of this. Last weekend, there was the Joe McDonagh Cup. There was a pretty empty schedule. There was 2 provincial finals, Wexford, Galway, Tipperary and Waterford. That was it in the senior competitions. RTE only showed a highlights package of 1 game, Leach and Kerry. They didn't show Westmeath and Down, and they did not show the other game involving Offaly and Meath. To me, that's a disrespect to the Joe McDonagh Cup. And you look at it, if RTE are going to show on the Sunday game all the Tailteann Cup games, that's an indication to me that they do not care about lower tier hurling, and they don't care about the Christy Ring, the Nicky Rackard, the Laurie Maher as well. I'm trying to grow it on my page. I try to do roundups and things like that of scores and things like that for the Christy Ring, the Laurie Marr, the Nicky Rackard. I try my best with the information I have been given. But it's just a shame that RT don't show these games even on highlight packages. It's almost like they don't care about these games. They're almost like, okay, Tipperary and Tyrone in London is on in the Christy Ring Cup. Oh no, we don't care about that. We won't bother putting this on. We'll talk about, structures in cool camps this week on the Sunday game. To me, that's a disgrace. If you're going to show Sunday game highlight show the games. As Will O'Callaghan rightly said on X in the last few weeks and from off the ball, show the games. That's what highlights programs are for. Show them. It's as simple as that. And I think the game could be grown a lot better than it is at the moment, like rugby, like soccer. Take the leaf out of that book and drive on with it. That's my thing about GAAGO. There are some positives, like the pundits stuff on GAAGO, but there are the negatives, like, of course, the broadband and stuff like that, and the fact they don't show every game, which the LOI TV do. And I think that's something the GAAGO can take forward and improve in promoting Gaelic games.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think you nailed the head on it there. Like, and I think, yeah, like, obviously, because we saw Peter Fortune obviously coming out earlier, like Loud Hurler, obviously asking like why is there no promotion of the Christy Ring, of the Laurie Marr, of the Nicky Rackard? Like, obviously the Tailteann Cup got its own launch day, whereas those tournaments unfortunately didn't get that. So it is very unfortunate. It certainly is going to rumble on. There's absolutely no doubts about that. And I do agree with you. I think GAAGO has a lot of good benefits. I think it does do a lot of things right. But I think the problem with it is that a lot of the time, we're still not seeing what we want to see. And I think this whole thing of, yeah, fair enough, RTE and it's a contract and everything else have shown certain games. But right, well, let's start a new contract then. Let's, you know what I mean, let's try and rectify the issue for, years ahead. And I know a lot of these deals and everything usually get done for 2-3 years or whatever, but I think it's something they need to look at. I think it's definitely something they need to look at because, as I was saying on Sports Show during the week as well, like, I think football and hurling is going into a bad place. Like, our best games are not being shown. There's certain games that aren't being shown at all. You've ticket prices going through the roof. You've some games that are completely one-sided, that are over before you even know it. So yeah, look, I think there is a lot for them to fix. In fairness,